Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? Charlie here, back with another video. Today we're diving into the wacky, the wild, and the downright WTF moments in history that'll make you question if time travelers messed everything up. Welcome to the most absurd history lesson you'll ever experience. We're talking about wars fought against birds. Yeah, you heard me right, birds. Plagues that made people bust a move 24/7, and treaties signed over freaking fish. Get ready to dive into the top 10 historical events that changed the world in the most ridiculous ways possible. Buckle up, bros, it's about to get weird. All right, first up on our list of historical absurdity is a war that sounds straight out of a Monty Python sketch. Picture this. 1930s Australia. The Great Depression is in full swing, farmers are struggling, and then EMUs invade. Okay, not invade, but these 20,000 strong, 6-foot-tall burb gangs were wrecking crops and causing a ruckus. The Australian government, they said enough is enough and decided to call in the big guns. Literally. They sent in soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns to fight these feathered fiends. You'd think it'd be an easy win, right? Nope. Turns out emus are basically bulletproof tanks with feathers. The soldiers unloaded thousands of rounds, and the emus, they just shrugged it off and kept on waddling. The newspapers had a field day, calling it a humiliating defeat for the Aussies. The Great Emu War, a war that Australia ultimately lost to birds. Can you even? Next up, we're time traveling to 1518, where things get weird, like really weird. Imagine a plague, but instead of boils and death, it makes you dance. No, seriously, people were hit with an uncontrollable urge to boogie. They danced for days, even weeks without rest, stopping only when they collapsed from exhaustion. Some historians think it was a mass case of ergot poisoning, which can cause hallucinations and spasms. Others, they think it was stress-induced hysteria. Whatever it was, imagine the scene, hundreds of people just flailing around day and night for months. The music? Probably terrible. The smell? Don't even get me started. The whole thing died down eventually, but not before cementing its place as one of history's most bizarre events. Just imagine explaining that one to your doctor. Yeah, I can't stop dancing, doc. Think I need an exorcism or a DJ? We've had birds, we've had dancing, so naturally it's time for some canine chaos. In 1925, Greece and Bulgaria went to war. Over what, you ask? A border dispute? Political intrigue? Nope. A stray dog. This good boy decided to go for a jog. That just happened to cross an international border. The Greeks thought the Bulgarians stole their doggo. The Bulgarians were like, chill, he's just visiting. One thing led to another, and boom, full-blown war. Thousands of soldiers mobilized, shots were fired, and all because of a pupper with wanderlust. Thankfully, cooler heads and probably some dog treats prevailed. The League of Nations stepped in, sorted out the mess, and the dog, well, no one knows for sure. Maybe he became a diplomat, maybe he started a dog walking service, who knows? But one thing's for sure, that was one expensive walkies. Chapter 4, the Treaty of the Herring. This is cod you not. Now let's talk fish, specifically herring. In 1429, England and Scotland were surprise at each other's throats. But in a twist that would make Gordon Ramsay proud, they decided to settle their differences over fish. The Treaty of the Herring wasn't about fishing rights or territories, oh no. This was about whether Scotland could send their herring to be inspected by the Hanseatic League without getting harassed by the English. Seriously, these guys drew up an entire treaty with all the fancy seals and signatures over the right to inspect fish. You can almost imagine the negotiators huddled over their scrolls, whispering, throw in a codicil about mackerel and we've got a deal. It's enough to make you wonder if they dipped their quills in ink or fish oil. Chapter 5. The Pig War. Don't bring bacon to a gunfight. Hold on to your bacon, folks, because this next one is a real pigmare. In 1859, tensions between the US and Britain were already high, but things went from simmering to sizzling over. A pig. See, an American farmer found a British pig rooting around in his potato patch. Now, I love bacon as much as the next guy, but this farmer, he went ham. He shot the pig, and suddenly both sides were ready to bring home the bacon. Or, you know, go to war over it. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed again, and no shots were fired in anger. The whole thing was resolved diplomatically, but not before proving that sometimes international relations can be just as messy as a pig pen. Chapter 6, the Battle of Karaz. They played themselves. Ever had one of those days where you just trip over your own feet and everything goes wrong? Well, in 1788, the Austrian army took that to a whole new level. The Battle of Karaz is what happens when you mix confusion, darkness, and a whole lot of alcohol. The Austrian army was camped out, getting ready to fight the Ottomans. But then, some soldiers got their hands on some schnapps and things got messy. They started arguing, then fighting. And before anyone knew it, they were firing on each other. The rest of the army, hearing the commotion, thought they were under attack by the Ottomans and joined in. By the time the dust settled, the Austrians had suffered heavy casualties, all at the hands of their own side. Talk about a self-own. Chapter 7. Tulip Mania, when flowers cost more than houses. Okay, time for a break from all the war and chaos. Let's talk about flowers. But not just any flowers, tulips. Back in the 17th century, the Dutch went absolutely bonkers for tulips. We're talking tulip-themed parties, tulip-themed poetry, people trading their houses for a single bulb. It was like the GameStop stock craze, but with prettier colors. At the peak of Tulip Mania, a single tulip bulb could cost more than a skilled worker's annual salary. People were mortgaging their futures on the hope that their tulips would make them rich. But guess what? Like all bubbles, this one burst, leaving thousands of people financially ruined. It's a cautionary tale, folks. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if that basket is full of overpriced flowers. Chapter 8. The year without a summer. Thanks, Volcano. Imagine a year without summer. No, I'm not talking about your emo phase in high school. I'm talking about 1816, when a massive volcanic eruption in Indonesia threw so much ash into the atmosphere that it literally blocked out the sun. Temperatures plummeted, crops failed, and the world experienced a year of volcanic winter. People were freezing their butts off in June, wearing their winter coats in July. Farmers lost entire harvests, leading to food shortages and riots. It was like Mother Nature decided to hit the snooze button on summer and accidentally froze the world. Chapter 9, the Great Molasses flood sticky situation in Boston. Okay, this next one is both tragic and hilarious. In 1919, a giant tank holding 2.3 million gallons of molasses exploded in Boston. I'm not talking about a little leak here. This was a tsunami of sticky, sweet, deadly goo. The wave of molasses, moving at 35 miles per hour, swept through the streets, knocking down buildings, ripping up trees, and engulfing everything in its path. People were stuck, horses were trapped, and the cleanup? Let's just say it took weeks to scrape all that molasses off everything. The air smelled like a bakery exploded. And to this day, some people swear you can still feel the sticky residue on hot summer days. Chapter 10, the exploding whale. Don't worry, be happy. Just kidding. Run. And finally, we end our list with a bang, or rather a boom. In 1970, a dead whale washed up on the shores of Oregon. Now, normally you'd just call someone to tow the carcass away, right? Not these guys. They decided the best course of action was to blow it up with dynamite, because why not? I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot, as it turns out. The explosion was, well, it was epic. Chunks of whale blubber rained down on onlookers. Cars were buried under a rain of cetacean shrapnel, and the smell, let's just say it lingered for a while. The exploding whale became a legendary example of what happens when you mix good intentions with a healthy dose of bad judgment and a whole lot of explosives. Outro history way weirder than you thought. And there you have it, folks. The top 10 most absurd historical events that changed the world. From warring emus to exploding whales, history is chock full of moments that make you scratch your head and say, wait, what? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more ridiculous content. Stay absurd, and we'll see you in the next video.